Let me ask you something, and I want you to really sit with this question before you answer it. When was the last time you woke up on a Monday morning and felt genuinely excited to go to work? Not just okay with it, not just I can handle this, but truly, deeply, soul on fire, excited. If you had to pause, even for a second, then I need you to hear what I'm about to say, because it might be the most important financial conversation you've had in years. Turning 55 might look like just another birthday on the surface, another number, another cake. Maybe your kids get you a card with a big 55 on the front and some joke about getting old. But here's what I want you to understand with every fiber of your being. 55 is not just a number, it is a doorway. And behind that doorway is a version of your life that most people don't even know they're allowed to walk toward. At 55, something extraordinary happens. Two forces converge in a way that may never align so perfectly again. You gain legal access to your retirement money, and you still have the health and energy to actually enjoy what that money was always meant to buy you: freedom, joy, time, and the ability to live your life on your own terms. These two things, access to your money and access to your vitality, don't travel together forever. One day, the money will still be there, but the energy won't be. And that is a tragedy I refuse to let you sleepwalk into. So today, I want to walk you through something called the Rule of 55. I want to explain what it is, why it matters, and most importantly, what you need to think about before you make a single move. Because this rule is powerful, but power, when misunderstood, can hurt you just as easily as it can free you. The Rule of 55. What it actually is, and what people get wrong. Here is the truth that most people never learn until it's too late, or they've already made a costly mistake. The IRS, yes, the very agency most of us associate with taking money from us, has actually built in a provision that allows you to access your retirement savings earlier than you might think, without paying that brutal 10% early withdrawal penalty. It's called the Rule of 55, and it works like this. If you leave your job, whether you retire, quit, or get laid off, in the year you turn 55 or any year after that, you are allowed to take withdrawals from your current employer's 401k or 403b plan without that 10% penalty. You will still owe ordinary income tax on those withdrawals. I want to be crystal clear about that. This is not a tax-free gift from the universe, but you are spared the penalty. And if you're sitting on a substantial 401k, that 10% can represent tens of thousands of dollars that stay in your pocket instead of going to the government. Now, I have watched so many people make a heartbreaking mistake here, and I don't want you to be one of them. The rules around this are very specific, and ignorance of the fine print can cost you dearly. Here's what you must know. You have to leave your job in the year you turn 55 or later, not the year before, not close to 55. The IRS does not grade on a curve. If you're 54 and you walk out that door, the Rule of 55 does not protect you. The money must stay inside your employer's plan. This is where people trip themselves up the most. They leave their job, they feel a sense of freedom, and they decide to roll everything over into an IRA. It feels like a logical, responsible thing to do, but the moment that money moves into an IRA, you have just lost your Rule of 55 protection. An IRA has different rules, different age thresholds, and rolling over is essentially like hitting a reset button on your eligibility. Don't do it, not until you fully understand the consequences. Not every employer plan allows this. I need you to hear this loud and clear. The IRS may permit it, but your specific plan administrator has the final say on whether your plan allows it. This means before you make any decisions, before you hand in your resignation letter, before you start mentally decorating your retirement, you need to pick up the phone and call your HR department or plan administrator and ask directly, does my plan allow penalty-free withdrawals under the Rule of 55? Get the answer in writing if you can. Only your current employer's plan qualifies. That old 401k sitting at a company you worked for in your 40s doesn't count. The one from the job you left 5 years ago doesn't count. Only the plan tied to your current employer applies. Now, here's a planning opportunity many people miss. Some plans allow you to roll your old 401s into your current employer's plan. If you consolidate before you separate from your employer, you may be able to bring all of that old money under the umbrella of your current plan and gain access to it under the Rule of 55. But, and I cannot stress this enough, you must do that before you leave. Once you walk out the door, that window closes. What about your IRA? There is another path. Maybe you've already rolled previous 401s into an IRA. Maybe most of your savings live there. You might be reading this and feeling like the Rule of 55 doesn't apply to you. I hear you. And I want you to know there is another option, but it comes with serious strings attached. It's called 72T, also known as Substantially Equal Periodic Payments, or SEPP. What this allows you to do is take regular scheduled distributions from your IRA before age 59 and a half without the 10% penalty. Sounds wonderful, right? But here's the catch, and it is a significant one. Once you start, you cannot stop. You are legally committed to continuing those withdrawals for at least 5 years or until you reach age 59 and a half, whichever period is longer. So if you start at 55, you're locked in until 60. If you start at 57, you're locked in until 62. And if you change course, if you skip a payment, if you take too much or too little, the IRS will reach back and apply that 10% penalty to every single withdrawal you've already taken, plus interest. This is not a strategy to attempt on your own at the kitchen table. If you're exploring 72T as a path, please work with a qualified CPA or a fee-only financial planner who has real experience with these calculations. The math is technical, the commitment is total, and the consequences of getting it wrong are severe. Your health is a financial asset, and most people never think about it that way. Now I want to shift the conversation because here is where things get deeply personal. And if you know me, you know that's exactly where I think the most important financial conversations have to live. We talk about money all the time in retirement planning. We obsess over account balances, withdrawal rates, Social Security timing, Roth conversions. We run Monte Carlo simulations and study income tax brackets and debate whether 4% is still a safe withdrawal rate. And all of that matters. All of it is important. But there is something we almost never factor into the retirement equation with the seriousness it deserves, and it is this: your health is a depreciating asset, and it has a timeline of its own. The decade between 55 and 65, the exact decade we are talking about here, is almost universally recognized as the most vibrant, most capable stretch of retirement. Doctors call it the go-go years, and it is exactly what it sounds like. These are the years when you can go. You can travel to places that require a 12-hour flight. You can hike national parks. You can run after grandchildren. You can start a business, learn to sail, learn to cook Italian food in Italy. Your body is still on your side. Your mind is sharp. Your spirit is ready. And then, not for everyone and not all at once, but gradually, inevitably, things begin to shift. The next decade, the slow go years, brings limitations. Maybe a knee that complains on long walks. Maybe the doctor starts adding words like monitoring and managing to your vocabulary. The travel happens, but it requires more planning, more accommodations, more rest. And after that come the no-go years, when healthcare isn't just a line item on your budget, it's a part of your daily life. This is what financial planners call the retirement spending smile. At the beginning of retirement, spending is often high. You're doing everything you've dreamed of doing, and you have the energy to actually do it. Then spending naturally dips in the middle years as the pace of adventure moderates. And then it rises again at the end, not because of joy, but because of healthcare costs. The smile goes up, comes down, goes up again. And the shape of that smile tells a story about time that no spreadsheet ever quite captures. Here is what I want you to understand with your whole heart. You cannot buy back the years when your body was willing and ready. You can save more money. You can delay gratification. You can compound for another 5 years, but you cannot recapture the summer at 57 that you spent in a cubicle when you could have been walking the Amalfi Coast. You cannot get back the years your children were young adults and wanted to spend time with you before lives got busy and geography created distance. You cannot have again the first summer of your freedom when everything felt new and possible and the world was open. This is why 55 matters, not just financially, humanly, but let's be honest about the trade-offs because I owe you that truth. Now, here's where I have to be straight with you because I would be doing you a disservice if I painted only the beautiful parts of this picture. Retiring early costs something. It costs a real, tangible, mathematically significant amount of money that you need to stare in the face before you make any decision. Here's the simple version. Money you withdraw early is money that stops compounding. And compounding, the miracle of your money, making money, is the most powerful force in personal finance. When you pull $100,000 out of your portfolio at 55 to live on, you don't just lose $100,000. At a 6% average return, that $100,000 would have nearly doubled to $179,000 in 10 years. That's almost $80,000 you will never have. Multiply that across a larger portfolio with multiple years of early withdrawals, and you're talking about a meaningful life-altering gap. And it's not just about the compounding you lose, it's about the duration you add. A person who retires at 55 needs their money to last potentially 35 to 40 years, maybe longer as medical advancements continue to extend our lifespans. That is a very long time to ask a portfolio to perform. Every year you retire early is another year your money has to stretch. That math is relentless. So how do you know if it works for you? You run the numbers, all of them. And I mean all of them, not just the optimistic version, not just the numbers that tell you what you want to hear. Start with your expenses, not what you spend today, but what you'll spend in retirement, and be honest with yourself. Add up housing costs, your mortgage if you still have one, property taxes, homeowners insurance, maintenance. Even if your home is paid off, those costs don't disappear. Add transportation, groceries, utilities, insurance premiums. Then look at the lifestyle budget, the travel, the dinners, the hobbies, the things you've been waiting your whole career to have time for. Now inflate all of those numbers because inflation doesn't retire when you do. At just 3% inflation, your costs roughly double over 24 years. Then there's healthcare. Oh, I know nobody loves this part of the conversation, but I love you too much to skip it. When you leave your job, your employer-sponsored health insurance leaves with you. Medicare doesn't begin until 65. That means you're looking at potentially 10 years of private health insurance premiums, and they are not cheap. Premiums for a 55-year-old on the private market can run anywhere from $400 to $800 a month or more, depending on the plan and your state, before you even touch deductibles and out-of-pocket costs. This is not a footnote in your retirement plan. It is a headline. Budget for it accordingly. On Vanguard's website, there is a healthcare cost estimator that can help you think through what you might expect. There's also a fantastic free tool called Boldin. I heard about it from another financial creator named Azul, and it's genuinely excellent. It allows you to build out your full financial picture and run a Monte Carlo analysis, which is the same methodology financial planners use to calculate your probability of success over a long retirement. And the FINRA website also offers free planning tools that are worth exploring. I want you to use every resource available to you because this decision deserves that level of rigor. The investment strategy. no one wants to talk about in retirement. Here is a conversation that tends to make people uncomfortable, but it's one we have to have. The conventional wisdom around retirement investing says you should gradually shift your portfolio from stocks to bonds as you get closer to retirement. More conservative, more stable, less risk. It sounds responsible, and for a long time, it was the standard advice. But here's the problem. Bonds don't grow the way stocks do, and in a 35-year retirement, a too conservative portfolio can actually run out of money more easily than an aggressive one, because the growth never keeps pace with the inflation and withdrawals eroding your base. This means that early retirees, counterintuitively, may need to maintain a more aggressive allocation than people who retire at 65. Instead of a 50-50 stock-to-bond split, you might be better served by an 80-20 or even an 85-15 allocation heavily tilted toward equities. Yes, that means more volatility. Yes, there will be years when the market drops and your balance looks terrifying and every instinct in your body will want to sell. But equities, over the long arc of decades, have consistently provided the growth needed to outpace inflation and sustain a long retirement. I am not saying stocks are without risk. They absolutely carry risk. But the greater risk for a 55-year-old retiring today may be dying with dignity at 85 and running out of money at 82 because their portfolio grew too slowly to keep up. The risk of being too cautious is just as real as the risk of being too aggressive. Think hard about that. And please work with a fee-only financial advisor when building this strategy, not someone who earns commissions on the products they put you into. A fee-only fiduciary whose only loyalty is to your financial well-being. Taxes. The invisible hand that can reshape your entire retirement plan. Now let's talk about something that most retirement conversations gloss over: taxes. Because how you withdraw your money in retirement is just as important as how much you have saved, and the decisions you make in those first few years after leaving work can either save you a fortune or cost you one. Here's a concept you need to understand: Roth conversions. If you retire early and your income drops significantly, those low income years are actually a golden opportunity. They are years when you can strategically move money from your traditional pre-tax 401k or IRA into a Roth account, paying tax now at a lower rate so that money grows and is withdrawn tax-free later. This is one of the most powerful tax planning moves available to an early retiree, and working people often don't have the income space to take advantage of it. But here's the tension. If you're withdrawing heavily from your 401k to cover your living expenses, those withdrawals count as ordinary income, and ordinary income has the power to push you right into a higher tax bracket, which means less room for those strategic Roth conversions. You're using your low income years to fund your lifestyle instead of optimizing your tax situation for the next 30 years. This is not a reason to dismiss the rule of 55. It's a reason to plan intelligently around it. Maybe you use other sources of income: a taxable brokerage account, a Roth IRA, an HSA, to cover some of your living expenses while keeping 401k withdrawals small enough to preserve conversion space. Maybe you work part-time for a few years to reduce the draw on your portfolio. Maybe you get creative. Speaking of which, let's talk about something incredibly important that I want you to truly internalize. The rule of 55 is a bridge, not a prison. This is the part that I think changes everything for people once they really let it sink in. The rule of 55 does not demand perfection. It does not require you to retire forever on day one. It does not mean that if you withdraw $5,000 in October, you can never earn a dollar again in your life. What it gives you is flexibility. It gives you a bridge from where you are right now, burned out, exhausted, ready for something different, to wherever you truly want to go. You could use it to take a sabbatical, a full year where you travel, rest, reconnect with your family, rediscover who you are outside of a job title and a performance review. You could use it to transition into part-time work, something that brings in income without consuming your soul. You could use it to start a business you've been thinking about for 20 years, but never had the runway to try. You could use it to volunteer, to mentor, to teach, to create. And yes, if you try early retirement and discover it's not for you, you can go back to work. You can return to your industry, start somewhere new, shift careers entirely. The rule of 55 is not a door that locks behind you. It is a door that opens. And too many people never even try the handle because they didn't know it was there. Your action plan, what to do right now. Here's what I want you to walk away with today. Not just inspiration, although I hope you have that too, but a concrete set of steps that move you forward. Step 1, call your HR department or plan administrator today, not next week, today. Ask them specifically whether your 401k or 403b plan allows penalty-free withdrawals under the Rule of 55. Ask them what the process looks like. Get the information. Step 2, run the numbers, all of them. Build out a real retirement budget that includes housing, healthcare, lifestyle, and inflation adjustments. Don't build the version of the numbers you want to see. Build the honest version. Use tools like Boldin or the FINRA calculator to stress test your plan. Step 3, map out your income sources. Do you have a taxable brokerage account, a Roth IRA, an HSA, Social Security that you'll eventually be entitled to? How do all of these pieces fit together to fund your life from 55 to 65 and beyond? The 401k under Rule of 55 might be just one piece of a larger, well-designed income puzzle. Step 4, talk to a fee-only financial planner, especially if your situation involves a 72T, significant Roth conversion opportunities, or a complex mix of accounts. This is not the moment to rely only on what you read online. A qualified professional can help you build a tax-efficient withdrawal strategy that protects your wealth for decades. Step 5, include time and health in your equation, not just money. This is the one most people forget. Pull out a piece of paper and write down everything you want to do in retirement. The places you want to go, the people you want to be with, the things you want to create or experience or simply feel. Now, honestly ask yourself, how many of those things require a healthy body and an energized spirit? How many of them are still as accessible at 75 as they are at 57? The answer will tell you something important, the truth about time. I want to close with something that I believe, with every bit of experience I've gathered in decades of helping people navigate their financial lives. Money is a tool. It is an extraordinary, important, life-changing tool. And I have spent my career teaching people to respect it, to manage it, to build it, to protect it. I don't minimize what money means. I know what it feels like to not have it, and I know what it means to finally have enough. But money is not the point. The whole point is the life you build with it. And here is what I know about time. You cannot save it. You cannot invest it and watch it grow. You cannot earn it back. Once a day is gone, it is gone completely. The Tuesday you spent in a meeting you hated is a Tuesday you will never have again. The summer your grandchildren were 7 and wanted you to read them stories is a summer that belongs to the past. I am not telling you to be reckless. I am not telling you to abandon financial responsibility or ignore the very real trade-offs that come with retiring early. I'm asking you to be just as rigorous about the cost of not retiring as you are about the cost of retiring, because there is a cost on both sides of that ledger, and most of us only calculate one of them. You can always find ways to make more money. You cannot make more time. If you are approaching 55 and you feel the pull, the honest, bone-deep desire for something different, something that is more authentically yours, then this is your sign to start asking the questions. Talk to your HR department. Talk to a financial planner. Pull out your numbers and look at them honestly. Build the bridge that the Rule of 55 can give you, and think carefully about whether now is the right moment to cross it. Because the best financial plan is not the one that leaves you the most money at the end of your life. It's the one that gives you the most life along the way. Now go take care of yourself, because you are worth it. Your freedom is worth it. Your health is worth fighting for. Your time is worth protecting. And your future self, the one sitting on a porch somewhere watching the sun go down with people you love, is counting on the decision you make today. Don't wait until the perfect moment. The perfect moment rarely arrives. Start the conversation, ask the question, run the numbers, and then make the most empowered, eyes wide open decision you possibly can, because that is exactly what you deserve.